this tutorial should be treated just a continuation of the previous tutorial. To understand it, you should first listen to the immediate previous tutorial. So here, using the Eclipse development IDE, I will demonstrate the structure of a struts2 and struts1 application and do some playing with those blank application so that things make sense to you. First, open the Eclipse development environment. See install programs, Java platform, Eclipse. So this is the project workspace where the project definitions will be kept. Not necessarily the project source files will also be kept there. Okay, we'll just open those files, open those struts applications. So as you saw that they are under the Eclipse, Tomcat deployment directory, just here, web apps, this and this. It's always a better idea to keep them in a separate folder than the deployment folder of Tomcat, and develop there, and after developing you can deploy it here. You can deploy them as a WAR file, or you can also deploy them as a complete application, and as we told, and can help you in the deployment process. Okay, I can keep them in C, test development. Java. I actually copied them a little early, so I'm just replacing them. Now I can open this application from Eclipse, file, new, Java project, create project from existing source, browse. This is the struts2. Just copy this name, put it here. If you put something else, you will get an error. So this finish, this is good enough. File, Java project, create project from existing source, then browse, then 1.3.8. So now I'm showing you the structure of the struts1 framework application. First we see that actually I added this build.xml. For the time being I am deleting it. It does not come up with the original example. So for this example, this index.jsp will be the root file for this web application. But it does not have to be always. Actually, the thing is, under web.inf, you see that web.xml. This is actually a deployment descriptor for this web application. It contains some initial basic configuration. First we see that welcome file list tag. It mentions what will be the root file, root document for this application. So we see that index.jsp is the root application, root file or main file for this application. So there are some other configuration, just like it is telling that it will be using the action servlet for the action mapping and control flow of the web application, and it also telling that the control flow file name will be strutsconfig.xml. Actually, what happens in struts application is you don't directly refer a link to another web page, or when you submit a form you don't directly display a page. Rather, the control initially comes to strutsconfig.xml, and based on the action or href path and the parameter, it does some actions, some processing, some filtering, some security checking, and then based on the processing it can forward it to another web page based on the situation. So from the source web page you directly don't refer to the destination web page, but you refer to some action. That action comes to this strutsconfig.xml file, and here after some processing based on the situation, the control is transferred to another web page, I mean JSP page or HTML page. And from here we see that the action should end with .do extension. It means that in your references href equals to, you can put some reference and it can end up as .do. In your form HTML form action you can also mention a .do as the action or destination. What will happen for this .do, the control will go to the strutsconfig.xml. That's for if you mention in a form action for print.do, in that case in strutsconfig.xml it will look for an action called print. Under that print it will define some actions, some operations, and it will also indicate where it should go, in which web page it should go, and based on which situation or what kind of situation. That's mainly it. So we can take a look in strutsconfig file here. Just a simple example. So the actions that I talked about, this is under the action mappings. Under the action mappings all the actions are defined. So we see action path equals to welcome. Think from the web page this action will be referred as welcome.do. For example, action, for example form, in form tag you can tell action equals to welcome.do. Then ultimately it will come here, and then we see that it moves forward to welcome.jsp page. So this is a very simple action mapping. It can get very complex and complicated and multiple steps. So this is the one, and there are some other stuffs in strutsconfig.xml, but we actually did not use any of them. Just take a look these form beans. Actually you can define the HTML form in terms of struts form beans, and there will be some direct interactions and some state management through these form beans. I think we will explain it more in one of our tutorial. And these are the global exceptions. If there is some exception globally, if it is not mentioned otherwise, the exception will be processed through this. And this is some global forwards. If something forward is as welcome, it will actually go to the welcome.do, and welcome.do will come here. Ultimately the control will go to the welcome.jsp JSP. So under this SRC folder, all the source files are kept, source software files or Java files are kept. You see there is one more Java folder. At this moment it is just keeping a property file, but it can contain Java source files. And we see here properties files. Actually in properties file in struts, you define many keys like errors.invalid, errors.minimum length, so many different keys and the corresponding text. What happens is in struts applications, you can use these keys in your web pages in some predefined ways, and those keys will get replaced with the text with their values. So this is sometimes helpful if you want to customize your display messages, web page writings. You don't have to change the code, but if you just change this reference resource files, and this will get reflected in your web pages. And also if you want to provide multiple language support, you can create multiple properties file, one property file for one particular language, and based on the current local selection or current language or current country, the web page text can be changed to the corresponding language. I think it will be fully based on the key. It will take the key from the web page, and based on the country or language, it will go to the appropriate properties file, and from that property file it will take the value and put it on the website. So you can actually handle multiple language support through this. And under lib, all the library files will be there, just the core library files for these struts applications. This is actually mapped to these reference libraries. So these are the library files, and we see that related end file and struts core jar is here. And if you check a look in the source file, you see that under webinf live you see all these files. In Eclipse, these are mapped to here. This actually depends on the perspective also. And then the classes. Actually, after compiling and building this web application, all the Java classes are placed here. So you don't have any Java class file, so there is no class file here. Okay, and this pages folder, it actually contains all the web pages, just HTML and JSP pages. Those are publicly available, publicly accessible from the outside, or I mean from through the internet. You can give all the HTML and JSP pages here, and the files you usually want to hide should be or can be kept under webinf under different directory structure. You can also, okay, I think a general good practice is under this SRC folder you can create your folders like products, orders, reports, admin to indicate different subsections, subcategories or submodules of your project, and keep the corresponding Java class files there. So this is in short the structure of the struts1 application. You can build this application I think it is automatically built. Okay, I would rather use the and build file. sample apt build file. In one of our tutorial I showed how to get a sample apt build file and how to use it. So paste it here and rename it build.xml. Okay, we can run this, execute this anti-script for the building and compiling purpose. We just see that the default is main, so it will come here. It will do the preparation, compilation, var and deploy. In preparation, it will delete everything under the class file, classes folder, all the build directory, and we see that build directory is webinf classes, and then it will create compile. It will do the compilation. We see that it will run the javac command, and the source directory is here and destination directory is here, and then it will create the war file. This is the war file. Actually we are including everything but not the existing war files or web.xml or some files, and we are also telling what are the classes directory to include and what are the source directory to include, and also we are telling that we want to include all of the properties file from the source to the destination, destination war file. And in deploy, it will be coming here, and this war file will be deployed under Apache Tomcat. So let's execute it. I think before deployment we really should turn off Apache Tomcat, but let's see what happens. So the build was successful. We can better remove this application from Tomcat. I think we can first turn off Apache Tomcat, otherwise it will not allow us. Okay, just restart the service. Then this one and this one. I'm deleting both of them. Now from Java I'm executing anti-script. So we see that this is the no, it did not get deployed here. Okay, now I will build the program. Okay, let's do it. Build.xml, run as and build. So it will build and deploy it. We see that in that here the application name will be struts1 1.3.8 default main. That means it will come here, main, clean, preparation, compile or deploy. So all these steps will be executed. So from here we see that everything is successful, and under web apps this war file is deployed. For clarity I'm just deleting it, and then so it is again created. Okay, one thing structure of this file in our previous tutorials. And one thing, in the original source file you will see a message resource.properties under classes, but under SRC there is nothing, but it is under SRC Java, but we actually need it under SRC, directly under SRC, so I copied these things from classes to here. So now we'll start the Tomcat server. And we can check that the application is running. Okay, now we'll explore the configuration of the structure of the struts2 based applications and play with the other example. Go here. Okay, I better close it. And I'm also deleting it so that it doesn't confuse. So as usual, we see that index.html, it should be the first web page, though it's not right in that way. We also see that web.xml file, and it also mentions the welcome file is index.html, and there is not much configuration here. It does not use any servlet class for the purpose of action mapping, rather it is using some filter mapping. We see this filter and filter mapping, it is using those, just a different way of handling. I think all of the requests will go through many different filters, and ultimately it will go to the destination page. If you are familiar with the Java design patterns, I think there are some related concepts there. So in SRC all the source files will be there. I think this is actually came here. Okay, this is actually the mapping file from the action mapping, as was for the struts1 framework, strutsconfig.xml. Here it's this. We can define some constant name here, and actually it also includes another file here, so you can use multiple files to keep the action mapping kind of stuffs. So it is telling that if the action is hello world, I mean equivalent to hello world.2 in struts1, the corresponding class is this that represents this action, and it will go to this web page. There are some other actions mapped here, and under web.inf you also see there is another library folder. All libraries are actually mapped to here. We see this struts core 2.1.2 jar, that's the core. It also supports some others like xwork, freemaker, OGNL. So at this moment, just take a look at the core, and this is about web.inf. Okay, I think when we build the project in web.inf, there should be another folder, web.inf classes. Under that all the component classes will be there. Then we can handle that issue within the build and build file, that can create that classes folder under web.inf and keep all the classes there. Meta.inf, we really don't need it at this moment. example is the JSP or HTML files that will be referenced from outside or through the internet directly. So these are some of the files. They will be making use of that actions and those kind of stuffs. So from our index, we see that this is our first file. So this index.html is the root file or first file, and we see from here in a meta tag we are referring to example hello world action. So it will go to src. I think this is the action mapping. Okay, you can open it with text editor. So this is the action as mentioned in the index.html, and it actually outputs the hello world.jsp. I need to change the configuration. So here we see they are defining. Actually, this is one of the things. These are some predefined custom tags as provided by struts. JSP has its own tags, struts1 has its own tags, and struts2 it also provides some struts2 specific tags, and the prefix s, it means all the tags starting with s are struts2 tags. Here we are defining some URL, and we are using that URL here. So this URL actually going to the action hello world, and also this is another URL. We are defining an URL with ID URL, and we are making this URL into this URL, and the display will be Spanish, and after clicking it, it will go to the hello world action, and it is passing the local to be Spanish. Here the country language is passing to be English, and from we see there are two properties file. This file is really for English, and this file is really for Spanish. So these are the Spanish messages, and this is the English messages. Under hello world.jsp, I think this message English or Spanish, how they will be displayed depends on them. Okay, you see this is the key. Sorry, not this one, but here hello.message, this is the key, and also okay, hello world.message, this key will come here. When it is English, it will display starts is up and running, and when you click on the Spanish, it will go to the same action and pass the local to be Spanish, so it will come to this package and take this message from here and it will get displayed there. Okay, so this is the basic stuff. We can try to build this application. I'm taking this build XML file and copy it here. So we see that the application's name is struts blank 2.1.2. Default is main. So all clean, preparation, compilation, creating the war file and deployment will be done. We see the war file name should be 2.1.2 struts blank 2.1.2. So I'm running this anti-script. So under Tomcat Web Apps we see that 2.1.1 file and the corresponding files or folders are created. We can see if the application runs or not. So it's running. If I click on this panel, this message is changed. If I click on struts, this message changes based on the properties file and the corresponding key. This message does not depend on the key, but this message depends on the key. As we see here, that this title